All right, so we'll call the Plan Commission meeting for December 11th to order at 7:02. And Sunday, if you can call the roll.
Chair Holmquist.
Here.
Alder Moore.
Here.
Mr. Hamburg.
Here.
Mr. Stein.
Here.
Ms. Thomas. Mr. Dorschel.
Here.
Mr. Ganzer.
Here.
Ms. Fox is excused.
All right, item 3 is approval of minutes from November 15th. Is there a motion?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any edits or corrections? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved. Item 4, is there anybody here to appear on an item that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll close the appearance section, move on to item 5, unfinished business. The first one is a public hearing on the request by Dan Bertelson, Remax Preferred, for approval of a zoning permit for an exterior alterations at the former Bank Mutual Building at 5320 Monona Drive. And so the first part is a pre-hearing conference to give us a kind of a general overview. Well, if there are any questions for clarification, we can ask them. Or if there's anybody else, my computer just went blank on me for a second. If there's anybody else here that has a question, that would be the time. And then we move on to the consideration of action where we'll have more of a dialogue.
Sounds good.
First item is public hearing. Just give us an overview.
Sure. My name's Dan Bertelson, one of the co-owners of Remax Preferred, and my wife Christy and I are the ones who have the offer to purchase, sitting with the property in question. We are going to be basically remodeling the current bank into a real estate brokerage office, so it'll be a 100% office / retail space use. We don't plan on changing the site plan at all. Zero, actually, on the site plan side of things. I believe everybody, we didn't have a landscape plan the last time we were here, so that was something that we needed to get done, which you guys have now. And then actually we were just informed, just prior to the meeting, I guess the neighbor adjacent to the east, which would be behind the building, they are getting, our landscaper happened to know theirs or something like that, but they're getting all new privacy trees or something put up on their side of things. So we weren't planning on anything on that east side, but I just thought maybe you guys would want to know that they're going to put up some stuff to separate the two a little bit better than they are now, instead of just the chain link fence. Aside from that, we have on the first floor, we're basically taking out, there's only two walls there currently right now, creating a couple of conference rooms and the teller line from the old bank. So those will be being removed, and the interior of the office space will be mostly modular walls, things that floor to ceiling glass that you can pretty much see through for the most part. That is actually kind of a dark building because of the ranch style. So we got to maximize as much light as we humanly possibly can on this. So it's all going to be pretty much open offices that you can see through, minus the bathrooms and a couple of the needed things. And then in the lower level, as it is right now, and we've been meeting with contractors there recently, it might stay exactly the way it is right now and just be remodeled as far as the layout and everything else. So the lower level may just stay exactly the same. However, we would have to address the bathrooms. I think are pre-ADA, and even though there's no elevator, we need to bring those up to snuff. So there sounds like maybe a ramp needs to be added in the lower level because there's a little 4-inch lip to step to the bathrooms. So if we end up doing that, I guess it wasn't that big of a deal. We just put a ramp in the hallway outside of it, make it gradual enough, and I said that would be good. And then aside from that, the exterior changes are really aesthetic at most. We're not really making any structural changes to the building. We're just trying to get rid of that Craftsman Ranch style look that it currently has. Changing the roof lines a little bit and then going over the top of those with steel roofing, probably going right over the asphalt shingles that are there, removing them. But the upper portions are really already all built and already there. And the old plans that you guys can see, this one here is a peak, so we'll literally just be adding to one side of it and doing new roofing in order just to give it more of a commercial look instead of the residential look. And probably the other biggest significant change to the actual use of the building would obviously be the drive-through. Is currently just wide open, and so we'd be pouring a 4-inch frost line all the way around that. There's already 2 footings there holding the roof structure, so Really, we're just framing in 2 walls and then opening that up for additional office space. And I think that is about a pretty good overview. Driveways stay the same, minus we would take the concrete, and so right now when you drive through here, you would actually physically leave this pavement right here, because it is our intent to have like a commercial garage door on the backside, just to be able to open up to let air in and whatnot. But when we have bigger groups there. But in front here, as we were talking with Sonia, it was the request the last time we were here that we do something with the landscaping and not just leave the driveway there. So we added that to the landscape plan, which is you guys have the current version. So part of that concrete and driveway will get torn up and removed so that we can put in some landscaping there. I think that's everything.
All right. And any other questions before we move on? All right, seeing none, we can close. Let's reset. We can close the public hearing section and move on to consideration of action. All right, which is item B, consideration of action on the request by Van Bertelsen and Remax Preferred for approval of a zoning permit for exterior alterations at the former Bank Mutual Building, 5320 Monona Drive. Sunny, you want to kick us off with that?
Just real briefly, a pre-hearing conference was of course held on November 13th with very preliminary plans, and therefore there were not a lot of specific items to comment on that the Planning Commission requested follow-up on, aside from that area in front of the drive-through. Approval is recommended as outlined in the staff report with those 3 conditions of approval.
All right, questions, concerns?
Couple questions. On your site plan in the 11 by 17s, the small one, you basically just got a red line drawn across the end of the island for, looks like removals. But on the landscape plan, you're actually taking your pavement and extending it, got a curve down and out through there.
So that actually already pavement curb right here. Yeah, already exists here.
Well, it's here, but not
Yeah,
here.
I think that was actually more assumed by the landscaper, because that's going to be done from construction, not the landscaper, to fix that.
Is this how you're doing your pavement, though?
Mhm.
Okay, that's my question, because on our main plan set, it just looks like you're chopping up here, not doing anything.
Oh,
Your
I
landscape
see what you're
plan
saying. Yeah,
is
yeah.
much nicer than your basic site plan.
Understood.
And in the landscape plan, for those in the planning commission, they're bringing it out here, here's the existing asphalt, on the site plan, it just chops off there, but here they're pulling all this out, putting this landscaping in, some curved areas, much nicer on the landscape plan.
Absolutely.
So
I see what you're saying where it was
Yeah.
missed. So the site
Yep.
plan, just so everybody knows, that site plan's from 1970 something. It hasn't changed. So we didn't resurvey it, we didn't rezone, or do
Understood.
anything,
But
but
where the arrow for removing pavement is really limited.
In the-
So
Right, that gets moved over because when I submitted, that was before the landscaper had redone it.
got it. This
Yep.
is what we're
That's
anticipating. So
what the
I would
landscape plan is
anticipate
accurate.
this being a condition that it's this version and not this version.
Roger that.
Landscape plan is
Because this is
accurate.
really nice.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah,
Okay, and then one other comment on landscaping. I know you've got a bunch of existing ash trees. Are you planning on treating those or replacing them? Because they'll probably get it if they don't do anything.
That's a good question. Would that be on our southern border with the apartment building?
They're all over. I think it's that middle island. I think they're in
The
there
middle
too.
island, yeah.
That's a good question.
I mean, this is, if you're not planning to save them by treating them, this would certainly be the opportune time then for you to just, well, you have all this going on.
Sure.
To replace them with something.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, from the standpoint of those big, nice trees, if they haven't been infected, what's the rules along with that? Can we keep them until they are? Or is it, I mean,
they're gonna die in the next couple of years, most likely.
okay.
It's
You can't
all
treat
over.
them, but that's expensive.
Then it makes
You have
sense
to do that in
to remove them
perpetuity.
and put in 2 new trees, yeah?
Or treat them, what, every other year? Maybe every third
Yeah,
year.
out of an
before it's
arborist
well.
look to make sure that they're
Yeah.
not.
Well, when we
That's
got
a-
ours treated, they
affected.
say probably last 2, but they guaranteed 2.
That sounds like a pain, though. I think we'd
It
just
is.
I'd probably elect to go with a couple new trees and be done with
I
it.
think that would be
That's what I would
a
do.
good idea when you have everything going on
Sure.
right now.
Do we have would you guys have a minimum for replacing a mature tree or something like that? Do you have to get a certain foot high or anything like that?
2.5-inch
2.5-inch
caliper.
caliber.
Oh, okay.
2 inch, inch and a half.
2.5.
2.5?
2.5 inch caliber.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we'd need one bigger than that anyway, so I think we're good.
probably like one that size, because, I mean, you know.
Go with
you've
the
got some
2.5 inch. It'll do better in the long run.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Other questions? Comments? Yeah.
When I'm looking at the front storefront, the new sort of entrance,
Mhm.
on some, like on the new elevations page, as well as several other pages, it looks like the peak is below the roof line, and in other pages, and then the drawing that he just put up as you were talking, it's above the roof line.
I think that has to do with the angle, the perspective angle of the drawing.
I think if you look at the side elevation right here, you can see that it just comes below the roof line.
Okay.
So it won't be any taller.
Here's the peak right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this rendering.
I think it's shooting from a ground level.
Shooting from the curb, looking up, that's why it looks taller. It's not.
Okay.
So
Kinda like if you were
this will be
standing on the
below-
sidewalk.
This will be below the existing top of road.
Okay. And then my other question is there some reason why you chose, aside from I recognize that it pops a little bit as it relates to the RE/MAX logo, the kind of dramatic contrast between the dark gray, if not black?
Believe it or
and
not,
bright
that
white?
is just getting extremely popular right now, so we were kind of trying to grab something that seems to be getting more popular, but I think I think people ran out of stuff to do with browns. And blacks and grays are what are now being used because people ran out of brown and tan ideas. I really honestly believe that I'm seeing a heck of a lot more blacks and grays right now.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that'd be a perfect question for the lady in the back because she designed the whole thing, and my job was to love it, and I do. And that's not because I have to. I really absolutely do love it. So it's
Right.
at first, honestly, your comment rings true to me too, just because at first I felt the same way.
Right.
If anything, I would say that as you look at it for a couple of weeks, that goes away. And for whatever reason, for me, it was one of those things where I actually felt the exact same way when I first saw it, and now I love it. So it was
Right.
it kind
Well,
of grew
it's
on
not
me.
that I have anything against black and white. I guess
Right.
my reason for asking that is that it's more as it relates to the contrast on either side of you,
Sure.
which is to say that it seemed like, I mean, I know you want your building to stick out, but you know, you're going from a building that sticks out because it's a ranch to
Sure.
a building that sticks out because it's so out of character with
Sure.
what's on
Well,
the
I'd hope
side.
it sticks out too because it's modern, and
Right.
and Walgreens and that apartment building haven't been touched in a really, really long time. So I'd like to
Right.
think that we will be looking different because we're ahead of them.
Right.
At least that was our thought with buying this place. Because to be honest, if I left it the same, it kind of felt like it would be a risk for resale in 10 years, 15 years, if we decided we wanted to sell it or something like that. We thought if we go with something that's kind of at the forefront or what is popular right now, maybe we'll be in good shape to not have to spend more money 10 years from now to change it before we were to sell it if we
Right.
wanted to. So
Right.
that was kind of at least the thought process behind
Sure.
it.
Right. Other questions, concerns?
Ties into the summit.
They have a very modern, awesome, cool-looking building. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah, would be.
No, I don't have any comments.
I have no problem with the proposal. Is there a motion?
Move approval, conditions written by staff, condition 4, that the black bituminous removal be per the landscape plan, and condition 5 on the replacement of the ash trees.
And a second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Regarding the ash trees, though, we didn't answer, his question is, can he leave them until they die? And we've gone from that to, so we're saying it's required now?
Well, no, I guess what I originally meant was either treat them or take them out, but if you do nothing, they will not only die, but then the borer will be going everywhere else. I know the city's being proactive on all our trees, trying to either treat them or get rid of them. I know Madison's doing that because that's the only way to stop it.
Right.
So we are requiring it in this
Well,
motion?
There's no stopping it.
Well,
first and foremost. I would get rid of them
Treat them or
now,
replace them, yeah.
Anyway,
especially if you're not going to treat them. And
Yeah, I would during a major remodel like this.
Yeah.
It's a time to do it.
yeah, definitely.
But I take it as a strong recommendation, not
Okay.
a requirement. Is that-
I would think so if they
Okay.
meet their.
my thought process too, the only reason I thought keep them is there's gonna be a heck of a lot more shade with those two than there's gonna be when we get to new ones, and so for
For a year.
a year. Yeah, I know. Hey, I'll be the one coming out into that hot car when it's not covered
Have you
in
guys been
shade.
treating a lot of trees?
Been taking them down more than anything.
Taking them down is more.
What?
Just
Popular.
wondering what the percentage of,
People killing them versus, or taking
Well-
them down versus.
no, survival by treating them.
Well,
I think it's
We'll
been.
leave that.
Yeah, well, I think it's been fairly successful. There's a chance that they could be they could have the borer in them. Because what happens is it takes a while for the grub inside to basically girdle the tree underneath the bark. So it doesn't show up necessarily right away.
Without doing board.
But arborists should be able to look for, you can actually see the bore holes in it. And once it's in there, it doesn't take long.
I promise
And
you,
then you're gonna have dead
I promise you, if
branches
they're
falling
infected,
and-
we'll take them down and
Yeah.
throw 2 new ones in, so.
I can just speak from my experience where we have some really nice ash trees. We've paid to treat them because I don't want to lose them, and they've survived. But the other ones we take down.
What kind of
So-
money is it for treating them? Is it, do you?
It goes per inch of diameter, and it also is based on how many trees you're treating because they've got to
Of
come out there
course.
for one. But
Got it.
it's, we felt for a really nice tree, we thought it was worth it.
Got
So
it.
could I amend that to recommend either replacement or treatment of the ash trees?
How does the second feel?
Fine.
All right. Sounds good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, hang on. I was like, check.
I'm good,
Yeah,
thank
all
you.
right. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, congrats.
Good luck.
Forward to it.
Good night. See you guys soon.
Thank you. Move on to item 6A, which is new business. And the first item of the public hearing on a request Tribute Design Systems in Roselawn Memorial Park for approval of the zoning permit for a new structure at 600 square foot garden mausoleum at Roselawn Memorial Park at 705 Fenway.
This is a share one
Thank you.
because it's too big for us. I like it. My old eyes can actually read this. Thank you.
Right. Exactly.
Pardon? It's all relative, right? 62.
All right, and so similar to our previous item, the first section is set for a public hearing, more of a brief overview, and give us an opportunity to just hear that piece, and if someone wanders in and wants to do the comment, they'd have
Yep.
an opportunity. And then we'll close that out and move on to item B, which would be the consideration.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Zach Rasmussen. I'm the project managing architect at Tribute Design Systems. We're an architectural firm located in Heartland, Wisconsin, and we're here tonight representing our client, Stonemore Properties, specifically in their property here in Monona at Roselawn Memorial. And I'm just going to read over the letter here that I've provided. So, established in 1932, Roselawn Memorial Park is a 39-acre cemetery providing burial services and memorial spaces for families of Monona. The owners and operators of Roselawn Memorial Park, located at 705 Femright Drive in Monona, have requested Tribute Design Systems to assemble construction documents and aid in acquiring approval and permits for a garden mausoleum building within the cemetery. The cemetery is running out of their current above-ground crypt for casket and niche for cremated remains inventory. Therefore, they are interested in constructing a garden mausoleum to provide entombment services for the families of Monona. The garden building being constructed will provide 135 cremation urn spaces, 120 crypt spaces in an above-ground structure. The cemetery is currently open to the public between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. 7 days a week. The number of visitors coming to the facility, of course, is going to vary depending on how many families purchase spaces there. We estimate 5 to 10, less than 5 to 10 per day. So as you can see from the plans, the above-ground structure is approximately 600 square feet. We're incorporating the casket spaces there for families to purchase, to be memorialized on the building, as well as space for cremated remains, as that's a growing market for afterlife services. So what we're proposing there is the building that I've provided you plans with to fit into the local context of where they currently have existing garden buildings. You'll see directly to the east there are two other garden buildings in an above-ground development, as well as a chapel mausoleum directly to the north. The materials to be located on the outside of the building are primarily the limestone masonry here, which matches the garden mausoleum to the north, which Tribute was also the design of record for approximately 30 years ago. The granite fronts to be memorialized for the individual families will be in this Luna Pearl or similar granite to once again match the existing building. And then some of the parapet walls and other details of the building will be done in an Indiana limestone, once again similar to the existing building. So it really fits well into the local context there. But we feel that it's a kind of a fresh appearance for this type of building. The access that we have going to the site is just a simple pedestrian access way, of course ADA compliant, which not only connects the existing garden development, but then also connects the garden mausoleum via an existing pedestrian walkway. That's pretty much it.
All right. We'll move on to, we can close the public hearing section and move on to B, which is the consideration of action on the request by Tribute Design Systems and Roselawn Memorial Park for the approval of a zoning permit for a new structure, a 600 square foot garden mausoleum at Roselawn Memorial Park at 705 Tamarack Drive.
This is a cemetery zoning district. Any new structure requires plan commission approval. That's why it's here tonight, and approval is recommended.
Commission members, are there questions or concerns?
Well, I've been encouraging Monona to look towards a higher density development, so this qualifies, I think.
Yes, I do. I would agree.
This is, just in looking at these, I just thought to myself, has there been, are you anticipating the possibility of another one of these going in?
There
There's
is.
a site plan.
Yep.
In relation to what's there, and when I drove up, this just seemed to
Yep.
kind of fit in kind of oddly.
Yep, no, that's correct. So as part of our services to Stonemore, we have also provided a master plan that shows future development of, I believe, 3 buildings total under this master plan, kind of all oriented in the same direction, with one building being directly to the north of this, towards the existing mausoleum building, and then one to the south, with potentially some areas of interest, columbaria, other private estates to be located in between the buildings. But for the nature of this request, we're just focusing on the one first building.
Okay. So there's a reason why it's located and situated the way it is.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and my partner Tom, he suggested if we put the one building up, then it's gonna block the other ones from where the customers park and everything.
We have like so many viewers on YouTube right now, and the only way they can hear you is if you're up here. So do you mind joining us up
No,
that
that's
way?
fine, that's fine.
All the people at home can hear.
Oh, okay. No, my partner Tom Christos, he brought up the good point that when we first wanted to position the first building, we want to kind of do it in an odd position so that our patrons that come up they actually see the building, and then the next phase will be then like a courtyard in another building. So when we get down the road and we do the courtyard, everybody will see it. So we were like, okay, so that's why we're going this way and then backing up to go over here. And it was a smart concept, so.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay.
Griff, any questions?
I have no problem with it. I think that fits in with the existing architectural element.
Chris?
Where's your drainage go?
Drainage, there's no storm inlets on the site. The
What happens
primary-
under the bridge? It looks like all the water goes to the bridge.
Yeah,
and
so
it's under
the-
snow today.
The closest
It's right
inlet
way down
is
here.
is like way over here.
Yeah.
And the topography does generally flow that way.
Looks like-
So we're anticipating with the 600 feet of impermeable square footage that we're incorporating with the building and approximately 1,800 of the pavement, that the water will continue to move in that fashion. When we get to the point of developing the future buildings, there's going to need to be a review of the stormwater that's coming off these buildings. But looking at the percentage of pavement versus permeable, landscape, natural ground cover, we didn't feel any additional storm sewer.
No,
was
I
necessary.
think you should probably, excuse me, more than anticipate, I would hope you'd plan for it.
Sure, yep.
So you know where your water is going to go before you site a building.
Yep,
Because your other
absolutely.
buildings will be tied in by that.
Absolutely.
Sonia, I see your condition is just all required building permits, state and local. We normally call out erosion control separately, and this would qualify for an erosion control permit, would it not? It's disturbing 6,000 square feet, and I think our ordinance is
Okay.
3,000.
600.
6,000, the disturbed area.
Okay,
Oh,
I missed that. It
If you
would-
look at
Yep.
the disturbed area, it says it here somewhere, 6,300 square feet
Okay, yeah,
disturbed.
you're right, you're right.
And the only reason I bring it up is you'll want to look at something just for runoff, for whether it's a silt sock or.
Yep, we have it included as part of one of the drawing sets. I'm
I
sorry.
missed it. I don't know where it is.
It's maybe the next page. So we've included, the typical silt fence erosion control measures
Well, I
that
see
would
the
be in
detail,
place
I
on
just don't,
site.
I don't see where it is here.
And we
It's
do
on the site
indicate it
plan.
It is?
all around
Okay.
the site.
And then, do you have a construction entrance on it then, too?
Um,
That would be the only other thing, and that'll
Yes.
be required on the
construction
erosion.
entrance we're envisioning will be
Right.
coming from this direction.
But there would be just a typical construction entrance here,
Okay.
some of the 3-inch clears, so that any mud that gets on the tires gets cleaned off.
Sure.
And I know you've got a long, is this gravel?
There is kind of a
And-
gravel way that
And
comes down
will you use
towards
that
the
for
south.
construction?
It's called out as gravel.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
will you
it's
use
always
that?
been there for.
It's kind of fine, so you're not worried you'll tear that up with construction traffic?
No,
Okay.
it's not gonna bother us one bit.
Yeah, we did look at other ways of accessing the site, whether it be kind of along the northwest side. That area is no good. If we come around kind of the existing garden buildings.
Yep.
So we thought that utilizing that existing service road, for lack of better terms, is going to be our best. But I will indicate on that plan for our erosion permit to add the entrance.
There's a
Entrance apron.
typical construction entrance detail that would satisfy it.
Sure.
But I do believe we need an erosion
Right.
control permit.
Yes.
And we usually call that out separately, just to make sure they know there's one they got to get from us.
Yep.
And per the request of the city of Monona, this has already been submitted and conditionally approved through the state of Wisconsin DSPS. So, but we'll go through the normal steps with the
It's
erosion.
pretty
control.
minor. I mean, it's a
Yep.
small area, and it
Yep.
doesn't hit any water quality benchmarks. But that's my only comment.
Thank you.
Do we not care about landscaping because it's a cemetery? I mean, it's totally void of any kind of landscaping, which is something we talk about. Is there a reason we don't care in this particular instance?
Yeah, I mean, we address the cemetery zoning district so infrequently, so I'm not sure how the buildings were handled in the past, but it is a wide, open landscaped area, and it would be up to you if you want to require foundation plantings around the building.
Right, I think you can't put it close to the you can't put it against the building because people have to have access to get at the buildings, but there's nothing.
Yeah,
You can't tell how far away those trees are.
Another reason for that absence of vegetation is based on the master plan that we've assembled for our client, is that we would hate to plant a tree there and then, hopefully in 5 to 10 years, we're gathering so much interest here, providing services for families, that we would then need to
There are
relocate.
shrubs that you could get that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but it just seems so stark
I know the cemetery also utilizes a lot of that green space for incorporating other small above-ground monuments, whether it be cremation benches. So that would all need to be thought as part of our master
Well,
plan.
and that's a great idea. I
Yep.
mean, it would soften it. Somehow, it's like a block in the middle of a green field. But I defer to the landscape expert
No
to see if he thinks.
mausoleum landscape expert. I could see if there was a desire to just have a clear view for visiting people, where it's the simplicity of the mausoleum. I don't know. I don't know what the intent.
Yeah, Tom, do you want to speak on vegetation?
Yeah, we need to chime in there on that, so.
So, just to the east of
Could
where...
you state your name so that way?
Sure, it's Thomas Chrysos. So just to the east of where we're actually placing this building, there are existing spruce trees that are lined there. That's where that little bridge is, right there. So it's not far from there, but throughout our master plan, we do have additions of cremation gardens, which would have natural vegetation part of it, some stone inside there, some cremation benches, as well as some columbaria that do not need permits. So that's part of our master plan as well, that we can soften this big block, as you will, in front of the building. So,
And when will you do those things?
well, we have to put the building in first.
I understand.
So, and then we have to kind of space out for where the next building would go. And then we would kind of just center that between where the, proposed building would go and where the existing building is. And we can put some small pieces of columbaria and cremation blocks, some benches, pedestals, some rocks.
So it's within 3 years? 5 years?
I would imagine it would probably be done within first year, 2 years?
No, 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years? Okay.
Right.
Chris?
I think Kathy brings up a good point. You know, there's a lot of nice landscaping around your facilities everywhere. And might be a little stark to have this building sitting in the middle of there with nothing around it, so.
Hey, just, when I go there, because like everybody, I have family there and friends and people, we try and put flowers there and green, and it's so lovely. And this seems like, to me, such a stark contrast to other parts of the cemetery. That's all. And you have other places that seem nicely landscaped and friendlier. This seems very stark to me. That's my only concern.
How far do you think those trees are from where we're actually going to build? I mean, it's that,
Probably 35 to 40 feet.
yeah.
So I would be, 5 years is, if something were in with a couple of years, if you were going to do some of the master plan stuff within a couple of years, that would make sense to me. But I do think that it's important to do something.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't we, Zach, why don't we just come back and do some light landscaping?
Planting plan.
Because it's gonna be removed probably anyways down the road, but just.
At least we have something to soften it.
That's fine, we're good with that.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Any further questions? Is there a motion?
Move approval. Condition 1 is written by staff. Condition 2, erosion control permit will have to be obtained from City of Monona. And condition 3, that a landscape plan is submitted to staff and approved by staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes. By staff, so you can just come in, talk to Sonia, agree on something that would be nice, whether it's interim or long-term, something around that building, even just a few shrubs or whatever, just to soften it up. And I think when people come and visit, they wouldn't feel like they're standing in the middle of open space. I'm sure you do,
Yes.
but the reason it's with staff, if you can't come to agreement, she'd bring it back here, but I have no doubt you can and come up with something, and Sonia knows the intent of the commission.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks. And Item 7, which is reports and staff commission members. A is the staff report regarding the status development project proposal.
I am, but not an expert.
We don't meet again until January, but as of now, I don't anticipate receiving anything. I haven't talked to anybody that's shooting for that agenda, so that's why I listed it as tentative. The next meeting would be January 22nd. We might have some architectural plans to address the Crawford's Landing building that was removed from the attached blue roof building that Hamburg's demolished. That was a requirement of the PDQ and Quick Trip zoning permit to come back with a solution for that wall. Otherwise, just an update on the proposed Woodspring Suites Hotel as well as Craig Frank's project on Monona Drive. Both of those appeared to not be moving forward. CDA reviewed Craig Frank's project again and decided not to invest in that project. So those are both done.
In the hotel, did that go to
Went away.
CDA or just?
No, it didn't. We met with the hotel and the police chief and the mayor and expressed our concerns, and they decided not to move forward.
And then, isn't it just a week or two in the paper, there's going to be an extended stay just a little ways west, not in Monona, but somebody else is putting up an extended stay hotel, which would have ultimately probably killed it anyways. Madison, town of Madison? I'm not sure, I don't remember.
Something by Alliance.
Oh,
But I
maybe by
thought it was
Alliance,
like a
yeah.
Hilton brand or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, was this a stay bridge here?
Woodspring.
Woodspring, okay, so I think it's a stay bridge
Okay.
that's going up. Yeah, I think you're right, so it's by the Coliseum.
All right, any requests for information regarding projects?
Thank you.
All right, hearing none, what was the over-under?
We didn't get to that,
Oh, okay.
but I think you beat it.
Item 8, is there a motion for adjournment?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?